Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Stories in Facilitating Software Design and Architecture. We are very happy that we have our first guests in our series of media where we share stories. Today, we have with us not only our good companion Kenny, who's here. Hello, Kenny.
Oh,
But also we have Elena Stojmilova, technical lead for OpenGI, as well as Peter Hunter, who is the technical architect for OpenGI. Today, we're going to hear a
Hello.
story from Mena. So, do you want to take it away from us, Elena?
Hello, as Andrea mentioned, I'm technical lead in OpenG, and we have implemented and we are still using decentralized decision-making process in our way of working in our company. So I will try to make like a time frame how this started and how it's going now. So our beginnings were like almost 5 years ago, in the time when the world was changing, everything was changing, and we also decided to make some changes within the company. We did a lot of changes in the ways of working, in the technology. We wanted to migrate to cloud, and according to that, we wanted to change the way how we are making the architectural decision. Thinking in that time, it was quite a lot changes, a lot to consume. But now, when I'm reflecting on it, maybe it's the best way because it all comes and everything is changing, and you started to think, okay, it's good to try something new, and everything. My team was one of the teams that we started a new program, Cloudberry, in which my team was part of it. And we changed the ways of working. But on another side, we wanted to create independent autonomy teams that will make the architectural decision, will be responsible for different contexts from our product, and will be independent in the way how we implemented that. So the first biggest change for me was that the first part when the team was able to make the architecture decision. It was a huge change. Well, like at the beginning, I was okay, that's great. We will finally be able to decide what technology we're going to use, how we will make the things. And we were like, okay, we can try different technologies, we can try this, we can try this, and everything. But when we started actually to do it and think it, it was, oh, it's not that easy. Because your first time, we were always working as an engineer, as a software engineer, and your mindset and the way of thinking is different in that you're mostly focused of coding, best coding standards and everything. If you're more experienced, you will think like how this can be made, what will be the impact of if I make this change, let's say the database structure, if I'm not using a relational database and everything. But when you actually are kind of have power to do that decision, it yeah, first time, okay, we can try non-relational database. It will be great. We will learn something new. It's something that I've always wanted to try to do it. But when you actually start to think of it and you have like a principle that you need to follow, you start to think, oh, there is a cost that I must be thinking of the cost. And after that, you would think like, okay, there is other teams that are going to be impacted from my decision. So I will change the way of how they are working. I will change some of the contracts. So you need to think of them. And that's where the reality comes. But thinking now for me, that's the most powerful way of learning because you are starting to see the whole picture. You're starting to think of the product you're building, not just like one piece of application, one piece of code. You're thinking of the system. And when it comes to actually making the decision, for me, the most important thing is to have the support. So at the beginning, you will not have the skills to make that decision, technical and non-technical decision skills. And it's really important to get some support through that process. And I must say, thinking back from that time, Pete and Andrew were the people who really support me and the technical leads and everyone. They were guiding us. And if, as I remember now, I used to come back to, especially to Pete, like with the question, should we do this? What do you think? Is this the best way? But she was kind of changing that way because we were worked previously. And in that time, like it was other Pete that was just trying to give me some advices. You can try this, but consider this also, but see what will happen if you choose another way. And also here in Andrew, they didn't go with this is the best option, you should do this, but they were just advising us and supporting us. And this support is not only for the technical part, it's also for the soft skills to kind of help you to grow in that role. Because at that time, I'm technical lead and I have a team that I needed to lead. And it was also new for me. I was kind of used on that change, and also I needed to kind of change the team and change how the team is thinking and how the team is performing and how the team is working. And I must say that I also get some support and advices from Peter and Andrew here, and that is very important. Not just to support the people in their technical skills and what technical approaches to do, what architecture decisions to be made, but also support them in the way of how they are making that. And when I'm here, I will say the architecture decision records that we introduced, they are one of the biggest help for me. At the beginning, the first one, it was maybe the best one because it was first one and it was a big decision we made it. And we were like trying to change everything because you want to try something new. You want to build something new and you want to do it in the best ways, like best architecture principles and everything. But and we did it, like we made that first ADR. From perspective from now, it was too much, too many decisions. Maybe for taking from now, I will try more iterative approach, doing smaller decisions and doing it one by one. The first architecture advisory forum, it was good because in that time when you're first starting architecture advisory forums, really crowdly, like you have a lot of people there, a lot of opinions, a lot of advices and opinions. A lot of people can have a strong opinion and they will share it. That is a good, but on the other side, it can influence your decision in a way maybe that you don't want to do it. So you need to be kind of calm and to go through all of that advices, all of that options, consider each of them, but don't let they to influence your decision in a way like, okay, he's saying that he's the most, I know him, he's very proficient with that and that technology, so I will just follow his advice or his opinion. In the architecture decision record process, I will say now I'm using it as a process, as a guidance when I'm making the decisions. It really helped me because when I'm starting to do like we have something new to implement and we need to make a new decision, I'm just starting with writing an ADR. At the beginning, it was just me as a technical lead because somehow I wanted to get used to that practice of doing the decision and also using the ADRs and writing them. After that, when we are doing that as a team, so we are mostly, sometimes we are calling a tech huddle and starting to think like, this is the decision we needed to make, this is the context, this is what we needed to achieve, those are our architecture principles, so let's see what are our options. We are going one by one of each of the options. As a team, we're deciding, do we need any spiking or additional investigation for any of those options to get more knowledge or to try it and see it. So they are guiding, concentrating on new spikes. And after that, when everything is finished, we consider all the results as a team, and we are making the decision. Now in this, like after 4 years also, I'm trying to get more advices during the process of the decision when it's needed from the architect. I must say at the beginning, it wasn't like that. First, we were making the decision, and after that, we were just sharing on the architecture advisory forum. And yeah, after that, we received the advice. But now when we are practicing this, it's more efficient when you're including other people like architects, other people, stakeholders, so that can help you in the process of making it a decision. So I'm trying to include some of our architects when I'm thinking of all the options, like writing some high level diagram and asking them for advice or any thoughts or some of their opinions, because I might miss some technical knowledge or I'm maybe not aware of any context or I miss something about the product and everything. And that's really helped me. It's helping me. And when you're writing the architecture decision record and everything, maybe the most common question is how you are making sure that the people will do the things that they are writing on, like when they're writing the architecture decision record, making sure that they will do that. For me, it's most important to have people who has like that culture of people that have accountability and they have a sense of ownership. Yes, when you're starting, you must choose at the beginning people who have that soft skills also. because it's not just that you need to write the ADR, it's your responsibility and you're accountable that what is written in the ADR, you will make it. There were some key situations in the past, also for me, when some of the decisions we have made have changed. Yes, that can happen, and that will happen because over time you can him like, oh, maybe this is not the right decision. Maybe we should do it. We should do it in the different way. You can change. You can change it. You can supersede the previous ADR and write a new ADR, and that's okay. But you need to make the culture that you will write a new ADR and do that. How the ADRs are helping us as a team is they're sharing, because on the architecture advisory forum, all the teams are sharing the ADRs. We have a kind of culture of shared knowledge, because in the beginning, when this wasn't like a process, each of the team was working in isolation, and we were mostly focused on this is our context, this is our work, and this is our context. And yeah, you can hear from someone like, but in informal conversation, some of the team was doing this on some presentation, but it wasn't formalized. But now when you are in the architecture advisory forum, you can hear what other teams are doing, what are the decisions they're making, what are the technologies they're using, and sometimes you can come to them and ask them for help and advice, and sometimes you can reuse some of their implementation, and that is a really big benefit for me, because sometimes you see, okay, they have tried this, can we ask them to share their knowledge, and we can see and consider we can try this also in our context.
It's great to hear that from your direct experience about how the advice for it helps you with the knowledge sharing. And you also mentioned that especially at first, those seem quite crowded, and also that it was kind of hard to. I need to keep my head on, and so that's really nice to have your first person account of that. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about about the bit of that first time, and maybe how you grew from, maybe getting more confident with it?
Yeah, at the beginning, especially on the first ADR, yeah, there was a lot of comments during the architecture advisory forum, the meeting itself. But I must say here was Pete and Andrew, and they were good facilitators, and it's really important to have a good facilitators during that meetings, because there will be situation when no one will have opinion, and there will be situation when everyone wanted to have their opinion and they will share it. We have like on the first day there are a lot of comments, and a large, big, extensive comments and opinions in how I did it and how we did it. In that time I was working preparing with one of other technical lead, and we go offline after that meeting, and we have a discussion with most of the people that have commented, that have some opinion about for us. Most of the opinions in that time weren't like agree with our decision, and that was also what kind of make me nervous in that time, because you're making the first decision and a lot of people are okay, but this is maybe not the right way, you should do this and you should do this. And we go like offline to each of them and ask them, like, consider them. I remember we take notes, and we were making a big moral board at that time, consider each of the opinions and see, okay, what should I do and what should we consider this or not. In that time, maybe some of the comments or some of the opinions were because people were not quite aware with the product we are doing and everything. But all of them were beneficial for us. It's really good if you have comments and opinion. They are always welcome, even if they are not, especially if people are not agree with your opinion, because you might have missing something. You might have not aware of something, or not have that skills to make decisions. So it's, for me, it's really important people to be encouraging to give their decision, to give their advices. How we continue, we ask people to write them on the ADRs itself. We're always asking them to write them on the ADRs itself, so we have a track of that.
So can I ask, because you're saying opinions, right? And from an advice process, you want to have advice instead of opinions, right? So I'm also maybe curious about Pete, who is here. I hear you're facilitating this, and maybe both of you, it doesn't matter who answered this, but how do you deal with the fact that people are coming in and I'm an engineer, I did it myself, strong opinions, weak. Yeah. What was it again? I don't remember the statement anymore, but strong opinions.
Strong opinions, weakly held.
Yeah, so from both of your perspective, one from a facilitator, but one from actually, Elena, you were part of the coming with advice. So maybe start with Pete, and then I'm curious about your side, Elena. How did you deal with that?
So I guess from my perspective, it was quite difficult because you're trying to play Switzerland in the advice process, right? So you're trying to be impartial. You're trying to facilitate conversation. Some of that conversation will be opinion, right? Because everyone does have an opinion. And sometimes they're giving their opinion with the best intention, and sometimes they just want to be heard. So I think making sure there's space and time for everyone to share their opinion, but also kind of, I guess from my perspective, I would, if they're just forcing opinion, I would then go into the role of asking questions. So you start to unravel some of their thinking. And sometimes it is just purely opinion, but sometimes there's something behind it. There's a reason behind it. And I think that's why it's never worth, even if you think it's an opinion because you've formed a kind of a view of that person, it's worth digging into it because there will be something that they have thought of that they think impacts the decision you're making. So even if you see them as opinions, it's still useful information. It still validates your decision. It still kicks the tires on your decision. So try not to, and I think Eleanor was very good at this, even if they're opinions, you still validate them. So
because I can guess, right? People how to react can also be like a gatekeeper, I can imagine, right? Because some people just don't know how to express themselves. Maybe like me, English is not my first language, so expressing myself can be maybe harder even. So yeah, Elena, how is that for you? Because I can imagine, right, dealing with criticism, because this is what I'm seeing a lot, right? You're asking for advice and you get harsh criticism. How did you go with it? Very curious.
Yeah, I was used opinion for the first ADR like on purpose because I would say like most at that time when we first started with the architecture advisory process and everything, most of our comments were strong opinion. We have a lot of people that have like a strong opinion. We should do this, and that is the best way to do it. And that's why we at the beginning I have said like it makes me a lot of nervous because you are at the first time making the decision. You have a lot of people with different and strong opinions, but how we did that, like we have a conversation with each of them. We just appreciate their opinions and go in more detail because it was necessary for me to be more sure that we are not missing anything, that we consider each thinking in our decision. I will say like some people, yeah, sometimes it's the part of the nature. Some people will have still strong opinion. It's really important to appreciate everyone's opinion. For me, I personally really like to hear more comments on my idea, even if that is opinion and not advices. I would like to hear them. I will say now when we are in the practice of the architecture advisory forum, we kind of used of how we're adding the opinions now. Most of I can say that now we're in a better place comparing with that 4 years ago. So it's not, yeah, there are still people with strong opinions in everything, but most of the discussion on our ideas is advices, and we're mostly I am mostly receiving advices. Can you try this, or should you try this? Have you considered this? Not just strong opinion. This is the best way how you should do it, and it will need some time. You kind of to be me as a person who is writing the idea to kind of adjust on receiving all that opinions and advices and consider them in your decision-making process, but also to people who are coming to the architecture advices to be prepared to see different different decisions and to go through them and consider them. So also it will need time for the audience that is on the architecture advisory forum to kind of adjust and go with the advice process.
It seems like your org has evolved quite a bit from the first time. I'm kind of curious about, you kind of say, oh, these days it's mostly advice. And was there any particular one of these decisions, like in between 4 years ago and now? Was there anything that was like, oh, I wish we would have done some tweaks? I'm sure the process changed slightly from there. And is there anything there that is salient? That's like I wish I would have known that about the advice forum itself and how to facilitate it, because I think that seems non-trivial, and that you would learn a lot from an experience like yours.
I mean, one of the things that I've kind of reflected on, we went in from a cold start, so straight into an ice bath and figure it out. I do think from the architecture team who were present on that first AAF and afterwards, it's quite a shock to them. So I think they need a bit of a longer lead into it than actually the tech leads and the teams. I think communication skills are really, really important for that type of forum. Also, their role was changing, right? So the role of architects is now not to hand down on a stone tablet the architecture. It's to facilitate and share their knowledge and help people make better decisions. But that's not, if you've not been doing that for the last 4, 5, 10, 20 years, that's not going to come naturally. So I think the lead up into that for architects probably needs to be longer than it does for the teams that are actually making the decisions. They'll run into it. But that brings other problems. So
It's sort of like architects have so much learned how to do architecture in one way. I remember learning the piano one time, like I did it a year, but they say it's very important to go to a teacher, because the moment you put your fingers in a different way, then it's useful. Then unlearning that takes a lot of time. So I guess for a lot of architects, what you're saying is, they learned one way and now they need to unlearn that way and learn it in a different way, while maybe tech leads and people in teams, they are not necessarily already learned in how that architecture works. So for them, it's easier to learn because they don't need to
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're moving forward outside of their comfort zone. So yeah, it's all new to them. With architects, it is, it's about that they've previously been on broadcast and the teams have been on receive. That broadcast now starts to become a two-way conversation, and potentially a conversation that will go in a different direction than they would hope. So they have to, adjust their muscle memory, I guess.
Thank you very much for bringing us this amazing story. It's really nice to hear first accounts. And thank you for being here with us, Kenny, Elena, Peter. See you next time.
See you next time.